Welcome, everybody, to the Hendriks Experience Podcast, episode number 14. And today, we have my son with us, Chris Hendriks. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and Chris has been, of course, around real estate his entire life, 28 years of age. Now, how long in the business?
7 years.
7 years. And I always thought, you growing up, that you were always going to want to become a real estate agent.
Not at first.
Not at first, no. So you struggled a little bit in school.
I did.
Yes.
I did. I wasn't a fan of school at all.
Not a fan of school. And then I kind of nudged you, pushed you, shoved you into going to college.
Yep, which lasted for about 48 hours.
48 hours. After 48 hours, Chris came home and he's like, I don't think I can do this. And I said, well, let's have a conversation, at least with your dean of business. I wish you were just going to take business
marketing.
And so we had that meeting with the dean.
Yeah.
I encouraged you to stay. Mm-hmm. And you lasted another 72 hours.
Yeah.
So
at best.
At best. Less than 1 week later, you were retired from college, from Niagara College. And then you took on a couple other jobs.
Yep. Construction, renovation, stuff like that.
And you were good at that.
Yep.
And what happened? What was the shift?
The 5 a.m. mornings weren't for me. Getting home late after work, getting up 5 day and night, it wasn't for me.
I remember standing exactly where we were. We were on your place on Victoria in Crystal Beach.
Okay.
Standing in the backyard. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember this, no.
No? And we were there. You're with your Uncle Tony building the fence.
That's right.
Around your backyard.
That's right.
And you said to me, I don't think I can do this physical labor for the rest of my life. I don't know if it was the 5 a.m. or getting home late from construction work, but to me, it was more like the physical labor in the hot sun outside all day.
Yeah.
And and you said to me, I think I'd like to become a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And that, I remember that so clearly. That was the turning point.
It was like an epiphany.
Epiphany. The heat was an epiphany to you.
Yeah.
And so you took it on. I said, hey, I never pressured you into becoming a realtor. I just kind of always thought you would become a realtor. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like, did you ever feel pressured to become a real estate?
Never, no.
All right, fantastic. Well, I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm glad you never felt pressured.
Yeah.
And so you took on the course.
Yep.
And having a challenge in school, how was that like taking the real estate course with that challenge?
It was nothing like school because I was so passionate about it and so invested and excited to become a realtor that I never felt like I was in school for a single day.
Nice.
So that's why I crushed through it so quickly and got decent grades, better than I ever did in college or high school, just because I had so much passion for it.
It was a fit.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell people. Find something that you enjoy doing. Find something that you're passionate about. And it doesn't feel like work.
It never feels like work.
Yeah, you work, you are one of the, and I'm not just saying this, all these things I'm not saying today because you're my son.
Yeah.
I'm saying them because it's truth. You are probably one of the hardest working realtors out there that I know. You don't want to start at 5, but you do still get up very early in the morning.
I do. When my first years in real estate, I'd get up at 11. And then now that I'm 7, 8 years in now, I like to start my days at 5, end them at 5, but still have my phone on me after, but try to end the appointments at 5 and just have family time after that.
Right, which is a little bit different for myself, right?
Different schedule.
I'm raising Mila, my granddaughter, so I usually get up at 7. We're out of the door at 8:15 to bring her to school, and I usually a lot of times I come back and have a coffee with Heather, and then get into the emails and things. But you're like right in there at the office.
Right in first thing. I feel most productive in the mornings, and
that is true. Everybody says you can be so productive in the mornings. The mornings can be your most
interruptions. No one's bugging me.
Nice quiet time.
I get all my emails done, respond to clients, and it's perfect.
Yeah, I guess for me that quiet time is from 10 p.m. to midnight at the office. I stay late at the office a lot of times. Yeah. And then it's that quiet and you get stuff done. But I have to agree that early morning productive time, you probably get in like triple the amount of work in. So 2 hours of work will really equate to 6 hours of productivity.
Because your interruptions come after noon, then all the interruptions come and you're not as dialed into getting the things done that you need to get done.
Absolutely. Just like Richard Robbins' coaching program we used to have, set the schedule, get all your calls, your appointments and things set in the morning, then book your out of the office appointments in the afternoon, and maybe into the evenings.
And there's nothing wrong with starting your day later. It just depends on who you are and how you function best.
Yes. So find the level of where you feel personally most productive.
Yep.
right? I would like to learn a little bit from you. I do learn a lot from you. It's actually unbelievable being Chris's father and how much I learn from you. I don't know why that
Talk to me about me like I'm God.
No, easy, not quite God. But I someone did tell me a few months back. They said Chris is an old soul because you have this amazing intuition about people. You have a great sense of who they are and what they're, about trusting them and so on.
Yep.
And what do you always tell me about how I trust people? I'm a little bit, I trust you. What do you say about that?
You give too much benefit of the doubt, or maybe that's not the right word, but
I'll help you out here because you're always telling me, so I always remember it. You always say I'm too trusting.
You're too trusting.
I trust very quickly. I trust everybody. And sometimes in my past, it's come back to hurt me a little bit.
And it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just,
finding a little bit better balance. So Chris and I often bounce things off of each other, and we get a little passionate about our perspectives and our position on things. Yeah. But even if we come into a bit of an argument, we always end off debate. Healthy debate. Healthy debate. Let's call it that for the audience. We call it something different behind the scenes sometimes, but let's call it a healthy debate. And usually when things settle, when you have that, things settle down. Next day, we're all good. We're more productive.
Yeah.
And
get things done.
Yeah. We're both passionate, just possibly in a lot of the same ways and some things differently. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. So jumping back to 8 years ago, when you got your real estate license.
Yep.
You work through that. You get your real estate license in hand. We had conversations in the past couple episodes with Justin, who's just becoming a realtor.
Yep.
Then we had a conversation with Savannah, who's been a realtor on our team for a couple of years. And some of the Justin's kind of like too new to have all the challenges yet. He'll find out some of them. Mm-hmm. Savannah has gone through some of these challenges and learning. And I will say, and I mentioned in that podcast, learn before you earn. Maybe you had the benefit of learning a lot just by watching me.
I did. I felt like I already knew so much before I even got my foot in the door.
Okay.
Which was a really good benefit I had. I feel very grateful for that. So I got a little bit lucky there. But yeah.
So when you did start real estate, you were blessed, fortunate, however you want to call it, just your nature. You did very well right out of the gate, right? Mm-hmm. So if I ask you, what did you find was a challenge? You might have a difficulty in answering that question.
Yeah. Well, besides having my father watch over my shoulder and critique every single thing I do, if I had to pick one thing, it would be at a young age, starting at 20 years old, you're working with people who are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you have this young guy coming in who's helping them with their biggest purchase. So you really have to put a lot into it for them to trust you and put on that big face and a big smile and give them the confidence that you really know what you're doing. I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges. And if you do the right things, you do the do's, you can overcome that and be successful.
Yeah, because I think what you do, you pour your heart and soul into knowledge about learning the market.
Yeah.
And because you learn the market so well, you're on the computer. I haven't seen any other team member really as in-depth in that market, analyzing it every day. You're like telling me about properties, what's going on, months of inventory, number of new listings, number of sales, your data. Mm-hmm. And so I think what's happened is you've been able to counteract, kind of like what you're saying, is you've been able to counteract the feeling that you don't have that experience with just sinking yourself into the knowledge of real estate. Yeah. And your clients feel that.
They do. I think they do.
They feel your confidence. And that's another thing. Chris has a lot of confidence out there when you're with people. Mm. And what I find is that translates. You are so upfront and very confident.
I'm very direct.
Direct. Thank you.
Very direct.
That's a very good word.
I'm kind of like a no bullshit kind of guy.
You call it straight.
I just call it how it is, right?
And remember last, I think it was a little while ago, we were with clients on a Sunday afternoon, had a special meeting because that was the only day we could meet. Yep. And I said to them, Chris calls it like he sees it, so that he's probably more apt to tell you more negative things about the home than he is positives. Yeah. And if it's a crappy house or too much money, he's going to tell you. But that should also give you confidence that when he feels it's a great property and great value, we hope that you can feel that confidence as well and trust in him and what he's sharing with you. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
I think that's a big difference. The other key difference that I find with Chris is that you have this fabulous ability to help people get to the finish line. Like I always say, everybody starts at point A and they're trying to get to point B. But some people struggle with making a decision. They just sit in indecision.
Yeah.
And there's realtors out there that just, they show them 5 houses and they say, let's go see another 5 next week. Let's go see another 5. And what's your...
And some, I mean, not to knock them, some buyers, that's what they want. So you have to guide them in the way that they work. But sometimes buyers just need that education because they don't know what the next step is. So if you lay out the roadmap for them and say that this is how it works, then things typically happen quicker and they feel more confident and more educated to make the right decision and pick the right home.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about what you do without even realizing what you do. You're in the business of helping people.
Yes.
And you do an amazing job at it.
Yeah.
So kudos to you on that.
Yeah.
And that has showed up in your sales results of helping people get them through the process, get them out of decisions, say, look, let's recap what we've seen so far. We've gone out, we've seen 5 properties, 8 properties, whatever happens to be. You did share with me that you didn't care for this one, didn't care for that one. You did say you love that one. So if you love that one, let's go put an offer together.
Give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
And that's an excellent thing, not for the sake of making the sale.
It's not about this. It's about helping, and then the sale will come. Come from the point of giving them the best advice you can, and the sale will naturally come. And it's just, I don't know.
Maybe you learned that from Dad too.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Very good. So, Chris, you've sold a ton of properties already in your career.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the craziest story that's happened? Do you have had any unusual situations?
Yeah. So starting out, you don't really have people looking to buy and sell. So you got to just go wherever you can to try and find a deal or try and find someone that wants to sell or buy. So I used to go scroll on Kijiji and everybody trying to sell their house by themselves for sell by owner. I'd call them, see if I can help them. And after trying for months and months and months, I finally got someone who wanted to meet with me. I listed this property in Fort Erie. This was 7 years ago, for about $150,000, and it was rough. It was a rough house, half finished, and I took a family through to look at it, and we opened the door, and there was a homeless guy passed out drunk in the living room. And everybody screamed, going running out. It was quite an experience, but
I think you gave me a phone call on that.
I did. I was a little shooken up too. I was like, "What is happening?"
Just a random person, drunk, passed out in someone's home.
And then the best part was, I called this out. He's like, "Yeah, I let him sleep there when he needs a place to sleep."
Well, that's very nice of him.
So I was like, "All right,
if that's how you want to roll,
no problem. As long as you know what's going on." And
yes. And we ended up finding a buyer, and you sold.
And I sold the property.
And you sold the house.
It sold a week later. So
yeah, awesome. And
it may have been to those buyers, but I can't remember. But
so that was quite a situation. And you also run into unique situations just in the normal course of business as well.
Yep.
So just a little while ago, you had another situation about a waterfront property, because you do sell a lot of waterfront properties, probably definitely more than the average realtor sells.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that situation.
So waterfront properties are always unique with what rights you have and what ownership you have to the water, the beach, and whatnot. Sometimes you either own the beach or you don't own the beach. But in this situation, when we purchased a property, we had, before we firmed up the deal and moved forward, we had the lawyer run the title search on it, which means basically they make sure you have good ownership to the property. And in the search, we actually found out the next door neighbor owned this house's backyard. So when buying the property, you would be in your backyard, your back patio and your back deck, but you'd technically be on the neighbor's property. It was very unique.
So their property was like L-shaped. They went down and across behind the property. Is that how you're kind of explaining it? Okay.
And we had to, and the buyers were like, well, that's really weird. I'm not sure if we want to go through with it, but it was a really good deal. So they're like, okay, let's look into it further. And we had 3 lawyers looking into it. Couldn't figure it out. We made a phone call to this one lawyer who did the deal like 15 years ago and said, oh, no, I got a piece of paper. I got it written down somewhere. Calls me back. It says, you have rights to use the neighbor's property even though it's in your backyard, and no problem, firm it up. You guys are good to go. You have full ownership and rights to use it.
Yeah, so that happens a lot, because sometimes what happens in real estate is that there's not enough in-depth work done.
Yep.
And you need a team of people around
That's
you,
right?
Whether that's a surveyor for property lines, whether it's a home inspector, septic inspection, lawyers. Now, Andre, we have right in our office.
Yeah.
So
who's been on the podcast before.
Yeah, and that's so helpful to us and our clients, right? You have someone you can just walk across the hall and he's there to help us out. And so I believe Andre helped you in that situation.
He did,
as
yes.
well.
He came through and he was able to wrap up the deal before time ran out.
Yeah. And those are situations that being a team as well.
Yes.
We help each other. We have a lot of situations come up. Even myself, sometimes, not very often, but once in a while, I'll have a situation that I haven't run into before. Very rare. But with the team members being younger team members, having all experience in the 5-7 year range or whatever, they're going to have these one-time, these one-offs. Good way of putting it. So it's nice to be able to work together and share in that experience and help people get through the finish line.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if it's a problem that can't get unstuck, then we say, hey, maybe this is the one where we need to walk away. And that's okay too, right?
Fine. Yep.
Right? Because it's not about just selling them that house. It's selling them the right house, the right price, something that they're going to love living in, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
In real estate.
Right. So Chris, you're a young guy, but you do own real estate. You've got a beautiful home.
Thank you.
And tell everybody a little bit about how you got your foot in the door for real estate, because it is tough right now, right? It's really hard. Interest rates are higher. Now they're on their way down slowly, but it's tough to get in the market right now. So how did you do it back then?
So originally I was about 18 years old and I was starting to shop for a brand new truck, just like every other 18-year-old wants to do. They want a nice brand new shiny truck and whatnot. And I told my dad what I was doing. He says, hold on a minute. That's absolutely not what you're going to do. You're going to take that money that you would have spent on that truck and buy something, buy a home, put a down payment on something and see what you can qualify for. I said, Dad, no, I want my new truck. I want my new truck. I want to drive around my boys and show off or whatnot.
Stubborn son.
Yeah. So, but he's like, just get pre-approved and see what you can buy. I said, okay, no, I'll appease you. We'll go through the process and then I'll go buy my truck. And at the time I was making about $15 an hour. I'm like, I'm born and raised in St. Catharines. So I'm like, what can I get in St. Catharines making that kind of money? So anyways, long story short, we go through the pre-approval process. I get approved for about 130 grand. I'm like, see, Dad, there's nothing you can get in St. Catharines for 130 grand. You can't buy a shack for that and whatnot. He's like, yeah, but wait, there's other places you can go where you can buy something for 130 grand. I'm like, okay, show me. So we go for a drive. We get in the car, dead of winter. It's awful out. We drive to Crystal Beach and he's like, look at this house. Look at this area. You can buy something here. And I have my dad to thank for it. And he says, buy one of these homes and make it an Airbnb. I said, you're crazy. I know nothing about that. And I wasn't a realtor at the time yet. He goes, just trust me and start looking. So anyways, I go, I buy it, I make an incredible Airbnb. I owned it for 6 years, extremely successful. I recently sold it for a healthy profit. But where I'm trying to go with this is it's very hard to afford something in the city you're living in. But if you can get pre-approved for something, let's look at other areas. For example, I'm selling pre-construction in Calgary where you can buy a condo for 300 grand. As long as you can get pre-approved for something and buy something somewhere, getting your foot in the door is going to take you a long ways. Even if you have to sit on it for 5 years until you can buy in your area where you ultimately want to live, it really gets you ahead of everybody else and you can have great success with it.
Absolutely. I always say when people ask, when is the best time to buy? The day, the moment that you can qualify. If you can qualify for anything, right? Yep. Something, somewhere. Yep. I don't care if it's out east, if it's up north, if it's out west, like you said. Wherever. Great example. Pre-construction condos in Calgary. The Calgary market has been very strong. When's the best time to buy in a place? Yesterday, when the prices were down, that helps, right? Calgary was slow and everyone was like, why would I invest in there? The market's slow there. I go, yeah, when the market's slow in a big city, trust me, it's going to come back. Yeah. And Calgary is back and it's done very well. Yeah. And so those, we did a pre-con there ourselves. Plus we have a lot of clients who purchase pre-construction condos in Calgary. Yeah. And they're coming up now, being built, being completed anytime now, very soon.
And they're already going to be turning up because those closings are set for 4 years in the future. So even if you don't qualify today, but you might qualify in a couple years and you know you will, you can at least get something locked in and close in 4 years. And those people have already turned a profit before they even got the keys to the door.
Absolutely. And when somebody has a doubt, if you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I can do this. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Speak to our mortgage broker. Tyler Hibbs is right in our office and you can have a conversation with him.
Yeah, just call me and I'll guide you and I'll see what I can do for you.
Check in with Chris, check in with Tyler, connect, have that conversation. And you've done phenomenal in real estate.
Thank you.
Both in selling, in helping your clients, in owning real estate. I don't want to tear up here, but I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
And I just
thank you for teaching me everything.
You're very welcome. I look forward to continuing to work with you for hopefully, God willing, many years ahead, and just enjoying the adventure along the way.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll come back soon and join us on another podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day. Cheers.